Welcome back to TalkNorth.com. Thank you for listening. If you can, please download before you listen. It helps our business. I'd also like to thank our producer, Brandon Morton, and let you know if you'd like to sponsor this program or any of the programs on the network, you can reach me at jsouhan47@gmail.com. Michael Russo is just off the plane. He has gotten home to his mansion with the moat and everything else. I think he got over the drawbridge. Now we're ready to do a show. This is the Russo-Souhan Show, also known as the Russo Hockey Show, also known as Michael Russo's Show, whatever you want to call it. This is our hockey show featuring Michael Russo on TalkNorth.com. Please follow us on Twitter at TalkNorthPod. We'll have some interesting developments with our network in the next couple of months, and we might even do some giveaways and give you some information. Our next two live shows at TinShed.mn.com. You can actually go to TinShed.mn.com and find this out or to see what they have to offer. But our next two live shows at Tin Shed are 7 p.m. on December 11th and December 30th. Please stop by. We have a great time at those shows, and we might even have some more developments with those. We also, Brian from Tin Shed also gives away Wild tickets periodically, but you have to be there to register, and you have to be there to collect. And now that the Wild's playing better, you might actually want those tickets. Thanks to our sponsors, Twill, Tony Hoagland, Fixology Repair, Tin Shed, and Bite Squad. Michael, I'm going to throw it open. What do you want to talk about now that you're back from this road trip?
I mean, the big thing is that they're starting to play really well. A couple. It's just amazing how many games the Wild have played really well in this year, and they just haven't won, either because they haven't finished or weren't able to score the goals. I mean, four come into mind right away, and that's the Dallas game where they're up 3-0 and they lose 6-3. It's the next game in St. Louis where I thought they played the Blues, and then obviously the first two games on this road trip where. That Boston game's as good as you can play in the toughest building maybe in the league right now. And to go in there and be up by 2 with 2 minutes left in the game and watch that disintegrate was tough. And then to have it pretty much happen again, undisciplined penalties that cost them that game. And then you think of other games where they've just gotten some bad officiating too. The St. Louis home game where a really controversial goalie interference call. And then a 2-minute penalty on Boudreau because the referee was spiteful. The bad 5-minute major in San Jose that the league admitted should not have been a major. So you look at these games now and you think, all right, they're 6-2-4 this month, and that's all part of this stretch. And how good could they be if they didn't just blow that Dallas game? If they won those Blues games? If they came back in San Jose and didn't have what just happened on this road trip? And yet here they are. They're 3 points out of a playoff spot suddenly. Yeah, they're grouped with a ton of teams, but suddenly they're relevant again.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing well. They're on a point streak. They've been playing well at home. The most interesting thing probably is the fact that now you have three goalies who are intriguing for one reason or another. Why don't you give us an update on where each of them stand right now?
Well, the hope is that Devin Dubnyk can practice on Thanksgiving tomorrow. We'll go to practice and see if he's there. He's dealing with what they're hoping is not a serious health issue to somebody immediately in his family. And you just wish him all the best, regardless if he can practice Thursday. The reality is that he hasn't started since November 16th. So he's going to need some time to practice before not only can he start a game, but probably even back up. So Kakkonen will be here for a little more. Who knows if we'll see him again? The question is if Friday Boudreau comes back with Stalock, or does he give Kakkonen a home game? I mean, that might be something intriguing to do right now. The Wild played really well under him the other night. So we'll see. But he was really good last night against New Jersey. He gave up 2 goals. One shouldn't have counted, which we can talk about. After what looked like a little nerves at the very beginning of the game, he really settled in and played really well for the Wild. And then Stalock's been good for the most part, but the reality is that the Boston game, things died there late. And in the Rangers game, the overtime winner is probably one that can't go in. But for the most part, that Rangers game, he was absolutely awesome. So the team has played better there's no doubt under Stalock this year, had better outcomes under Stalock this year. And so when eventually Devin comes back, it'll be imperative that he figures out a way to get his game back on track here.
Is Kakkonen considered a prospect?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, 23 years old, 4th round pick. Had a really good start to last season. Made the All-Star game. Wound up not playing in the playoffs. I think just everything caught up to him. You know, he's used to playing a European schedule, not a ton of games, and all of a sudden he's playing his first year of North American pro hockey. And really, I think that we saw at the end of the second half last year that he started to show some big time cracks. But he's gotten off to mostly a good start this year. A lot of wins at the time of his call up. I think he was 3rd or 4th in the American Hockey League in victories. Last year, he had the league record for 6 shutouts, and he's very poised. I mean, typical Finn, quiet, impeccable English. It seems like a great dude. I know his family was really excited to see him yesterday, so he's absolutely a prospect. So that's the good news here, because as I've written and talked a lot about here, is regardless of whether Devin was playing great or not great. He's getting in his 30s here. He's got 2 years left on his contract. Billy Guerin's going to have to come up with a succession plan to him. And so before you can come up with a succession plan, you need to know if guys like Robson and Kakkonen and Hunter Jones have the ability to be a goalie of the future. And all of a sudden, if you start to believe that they do have that ability, you don't then have to go out and acquire a top goalie in this league. And now you can actually focus some of your assets on acquiring other things. And so it was good to see him play well yesterday. I caution everybody to already start saying that this guy's the future yet. He's still got a long ways to go. He's going to wind up back in Iowa, no doubt. Remember Matt Hackett had an incredible start to his wild career as well. Huge game in San Jose, huge game in LA, and he's long been out of the league by now.
Yeah, very good point. Let's talk a little bit more about Dubnyk. We're also going to get to Twitter questions. I also want to thank our longtime producer, Brandon Morton. I also want to thank our longest running and most prominent sponsor, Twill in the Edina Galleria. Twill Edina on Instagram, Twill MN on the internet. Either place you will see photos and descriptions of beautiful clothes, but also just really good, durable, attractive stuff that you can wear on an everyday basis like I do. I'm here with my wife, Stacy. We went to Twill in the Edina Galleria the other day. We saw Scott Dayton, and I bought the nicest sport jacket I've ever owned, the most comfortable pants I've ever owned. They're Bracks, a nice pair of loafers that I can wear to the ballpark. I think they're called Tracks. And I bought a bunch of Stenstrom short-sleeve shirts to go with my Stenstrom nice dress shirts. And, I used to wear just disposable clothes. Now when I buy something, I buy it at Twill. I know it's going to last me the rest of my life, and it's going to be comfortable.
And on top of that, it's not just the best stuff you've ever had, but it's really everyday things that you can wear and that will fit all occasions.
Twill in the Edina Galleria, twillmn.com, Twill on Instagram. So let's assume that whatever's going on with Devin Dubnyk's family, works out okay. We're certainly all hoping that is the case, and he comes back. What are the scenarios here? If Dubnyk started playing well, do you think that means you just stick with Dubnyk and hope to take some kind of a run at the 8th seed? Or if Dubnyk played well, would that mean you go, okay, now you have a trading asset?
Well, I mean, he's got a no trade clause.
I forgot that.
So the big thing is, and as I've written, I mean, even though it's a 10-team no trade clause, you can make that, really impenetrable. There you go. The way it works with 10-team no trades with a skater is that you kind of pick and choose where you don't want to go. With a goalie, if you don't want to go somewhere and you know that Montreal's got a bona fide number one, and you know that Tampa's got a bona fide number one, and you know that Colorado's pretty much got a bona fide number one, and St. Louis and Dallas and all these other teams, you just don't even have to worry about putting them on your list because you know that they can't trade you there anyway. So what it does is effectively turn your 10-team no trade into probably a 20-something team no trade. So it'd be very hard to trade for him. And then the other thing is, I mean, even though he's very affordable, real money, only makes 3.5 this year and 2.5 next year. His cap hits 4.33. Not a lot of teams can just take that on right now, especially for an aging goalie that is struggling. And so, I just think it's going to be very hard to trade him. But absolutely, if all of a sudden he started playing well, I mean, one, you might want to keep him, but two, maybe then you do put him on the block and then figure out a way if you want to start to promote some of these young guys. But Billy Guerin's made it very clear that he wants to be patient with his goalies down there. So, you're not just going to run with Stalock and one of the minor leaguers. I don't think you want those guys playing well and being careful with them because it's such a mental game and you don't want to throw them into the fire. Maybe in the NHL, you want to continue to develop them down in the minors.
What do you think the mentality or the mood of Boudreau and some of the veteran players is after a trip where they got results, but they could have had better results?
Yeah, much better results. I mean, they could have gone easily 6 points out of 6 on this trip, and they wound up getting 4 out of 6. But, and luckily the points you lost, at least you gave it to Eastern Conference teams and not Western Conference teams, so didn't hurt yourself there. But I think a lot of it, I think it's twofold. I mean, they're happy with the way that they're playing for the most part, but the reality is they also know that they left points on the table. And the amount of points that the Wild have already left on the table, it's very likely that this is going to wind up costing them later in the year. But the good news is that they're 17 games into their 41-game road schedule. So with a real home-heavy, second half of the season, it's something like after Christmas, they have like 4 one-game trips in 7 weeks or something. And the way that they've played for the most part at home this year, suddenly this team could very much become relevant and fight for a playoff spot again.
Yeah, I mean, that's the flip side of this horrible schedule is it's going to get better, no doubt about it. Any interesting travel moments?
Not really. It was honestly so much work this trip. I barely saw New York or Boston, other than I had one meal in New York and Boston. I can't even remember if I went to dinner. I'm just working on so many different things at once right now that I just didn't do it. So when that happens, it doesn't lead to a lot of ability to have a real some fun travel at all.
Yeah, but usually you at least spill coffee on yourself or have somebody,
Well, I did do that. I did spill coffee on myself. That's usually once a week.
That's true. Let me ask you about Boudreau's overtime strategy and whether you're buying what he is selling at this point. Let us quickly thank Fixology Repair, fixologyrepair.com. Locate the big mothership shop in the Mall of America, 3rd floor by Nordstrom's, the new shop in St. Paul right near the Wild offices, and, of course, downtown in Minneapolis right above Crown Bank in the Skyway.
Hi, this is John with Fixology Repair. For the better part of a decade, we've been privileged to serve you for all of your jewelry, watch, and smartphone repair needs at the Mall of America. Since Minnesotans largely hate going to the mall, we expanded 2 years ago to reach you in the Minneapolis Skyway. And now this year, we're pleased to announce we have a new location at Wells Fargo Place in the St. Paul Skyway. All 3 shops are equipped to help with your watch and cell phone repair needs on site, while all jewelry, computer, and game consoles will be completed at the Mall of America store. Please bring us your repair challenges, and don't forget to mention the Talk North podcast for a 10% discount on all of our services.
So I know you guys asked Boudreau about his overtime strategy, and he said, I wanted to send a defensive-minded group out and then send offense out after that. Of course, he never got to the offensive group. What do you think of that?
First of all, are you like running a dryer or something?
Me?
Yeah.
I am not running a dryer. I am in my home office, and we do have, there are all kinds of weird things. Yeah. So I'm not running a dryer intentionally, but something might be running.
Okay. I hear like a gust of wind. No, I'm not buying it. I think that I just don't like the strategy. If you're gonna go with no veterans, I just don't understand why you changed the way. I mean, he knew he screwed up when he put Parisi on the ice in Boston, and it bit him. And then the next night he throws Suter out there, and it bit him there. To me, you got to start overtime. I understand when he originally started going with 2D, it was because they were losing a lot of games, so he decided, all right, I'm going to defend first. But now what do you have to lose? You're losing every single game starting with 2D anyway. Start with 2 forwards. And then we saw the worst case scenario the other night in New York where he starts with 2D, one can't skate, and then Eriksson Ek gets kicked out of the circle, and you have to go with the defenseman to take the draw, and Spurgeon